Welcome! In this series of videos, we will look at software add-ons for the PowerBasic Windows compiler. Today, we will look at the WinLIFT add-on from ZapSolution to enhance the look of your screens. Today, we're going to be looking at WinLIFT, an add-on from ZapSolution. Now, this software product has been around for quite a while, and it is a purchase product. However, you can download the trial version, which does come with several examples. What WinLIFT basically is a skinning engine to allow you to take your existing application and with just a few lines of code, you can change the look of it completely. Much in the same way as a cascading style sheet can do the same for a web page. The way the system works is to define each part of a window as a separate item. And the system will apply these new images to your existing code with just a few lines of code. Now, there won't be any software for you to download from my site on this one, but I will put a link both in the description below and onto the GSF software website where you can actually download the demo version. Let's have a look at the code. Now, there are a number of applications which come with this demo. The one we're looking at now is Wallpaper. Let's just run the code as it stands to see what it looks like. It will give you a nag screen to say this is the unregistered version, but apart from that, it's fully functional. What we now have on screen is effectively three windows: two modeless dialogues and a modal dialogue. These, as you'll see from the look of them, look quite different to ordinary windows. However, they do have all the usual widgets you would expect to minimize, maximize, and to close the form. However, the look of these controls is radically different from what you would normally expect to see. So how is this done in code? Well, if we have a look at the Wallpaper application and go into the PB main function. Now in here, there's a very simple dialog. There's a command to create the new dialog window and to set its size on screen. And a line of code to show the dialog modally, defining the event handler, the callback function. Now the three lines of code which are of interest to us are these three lines of code here. This SK initialize engine is defining the skin to be used for this particular application, and it's doing a call to a skin window. Now, this podcast SKS is actually a flat text file. Inside this text file is a definition of each part of a window, for example the menu bar and the image file, which in this case is the SKI format, which is a proprietary format from ZapSolution. You can, however, define your own with PNG files. This defines the menu bar. This defines a button. And all the other parts of this definition file define different parts of both the window and the size of the widgets on the window and the colours. Now with this in place, we've effectively skinned the engine by adding three lines of code. Now if we have a look at the event handler for this main dialog, the callback function, we'll see inside here, inside the initialized dialog event, we are using these two lines of code to post a message back for this specific event. Now these are custom events to show these two dialogues, and these two dialogues are effectively shown modeless. Now this is a very useful way when you wish your application to have multiple windows on screen, only one of which is the modal one, and the other two dialogues can quite happily float around and be updated on the fly. So if we have a look at these other dialogues to see how their event handlers are actually done, we look at dialog number 3. Now inside here, it looks like an ordinary dialog. we're creating the dialog called Tools 3. We're adding a list box to that dialog, and we're showing the dialog modeless. A modeless dialog needs to have a message prompt after it to allow it to handle any events that will happen for that particular window. If we have a look inside the event handler, inside this callback function, there is one single line of code. This single line of code tells the application that it's going to be using a skinned window. If we comment this line of code out and run our application, you will see how the dialog would have looked normally without the skinning. In this case, is a very simple list box. But with this line of code in place, the dialog does look radically different with a single line of code. So using this particular package, you can take an existing application you already have and you can radically shape the way it's going to look. The same logic we'll find inside dialog 2. Again, the exact same line of code to tell it to use the skin we have initialized. And when your application finishes, it's not doing anything special. So with very minimal code, you can actually change the look of your application totally. Now, if we look at one of the other applications that ships with the demo version, we'll see that they have made some radical changes to the way buttons look on your screen. These are standard buttons, but they look completely different, and they do actually add to your application a completely new look. So if we have a look inside the buttons application to see what it's actually doing. If we have a look at the PB main, we'll find this does exactly the same. It's using the initialize engine using the Sony SKS. This one's going a little further than the previous one, and it's using functions within the library to pull up button images to put on top of the buttons. But again, it's a minimum amount of code. The event handle has very little in it, apart from handling the abort button. But the look of the application is radically different from what you would normally expect to see in such an application, and would certainly give any applications you write a definite edge over the competition. Other features within this system will allow you to do radical things with images. It just goes to show what you can do with a little bit of extra code and a few purchased libraries. This has been a short introduction to what can be done with WinLIFT. That's it for today. Thank you for watching.